Listeners of the Tron podcast, this is your host, Rashad Woods. The Randomness of Nothing is very happy to bring on this guest today. She's a dark fiction author, entertainer from across the pond for us as well, Eva A. Morningstar. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
This is fun, right? So I got a chance to really dive into your background. And when you reached out to me, you really have an interesting background when it comes to Gothic arts, fiction, and you're a big fan of movies, which I think will be a lot of fun our conversation because I'm a huge movie fan too. I saw particularly where you said Quentin Tarantino as well too. So
yeah,
right up my alley.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I love the dark arts, I know the Gothic stuff, and I love movies. I'm just such a movie junkie, it's like I can talk about it forever.
Same here. I will confess that I was not very impressed by Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but overall, I'm a big fan of his work. I had higher expectations for that movie.
Same
here.
And
I was like, really? I was like, really? Like, that's it? Like, no diss. I mean, like, I'm sure if he's not listening to this, and if he did, he probably, can't make everybody happy. But outside of that, he's made phenomenal motion pictures.
Yeah, I agree. The Kill Bill movie, I was really blown away. And a lot of people don't like the violence and the blood, but like I'm really into violence and blood. Yeah. I like blood, so it's like I really loved it. It was really phenomenal.
It really was, and I like the way it got stretched out over a couple of years. It's he was ahead of the curve. He took a lot of those Japanese, and even when he had Sonny Chiba in there as a sword maker, right? For people like that are nostalgic, right? About that, and you had Uma Thurman, who was dressed up as Bruce Lee from the last film that he made. Oh my gosh, when we fought Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the name's escaping me. It's a Game of Death.
I think it was the Game of Death. Yeah,
his last unfinished film. So like I said, you're right up my alley when it comes to movie fandom and things like that. So tell me, first of all, how did you get into writing, entertaining, and ultimately become who you are? Because that's what the show is all about.
Sure. I think the story is going to be a little bit depressing, but I'll try to keep it fun. Okay. It was obviously like during COVID, and I got very sick during COVID, and I was honestly like in the beginning of my and my life wasn't really going very far, and I wasn't amused, I would say. And like we have this saying, like I have like Slavic roots, and we have this saying, like Slavic people say, when something breaks, everything just breaks at the same time. So everything just kind of broke down with me at the same time. It was, health, it was like money, and it was the job, and just where I'm at, the whole situation, I was like really miserable. I wasn't happy.
Bottom, so to speak, right?
Yeah, like it was, it was just bad. So I just, decided like one day, like, hey, listen, like we're doing COVID, and maybe I'm going to die tomorrow, and I'm like still chasing, the money, which I'm not trying to say it's not important. It's very important, obviously, but I was like chasing the money, and I wasn't really chasing what I want to do. And after COVID, I just said, like, no, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. Whatever is going to happen, it's happened. What's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. So that's basically how I put my mind and said, like, that's it. I'm not chasing, like, just only the money because I have to. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that was an earth-shattering event that took place too. So you're talking about something that, once a generation. I mean, obviously you're in Europe, the Black Plague, and obviously, people, I don't want to equate it to that, but there are cataclysmic events that happen in history where people somehow start to reevaluate things and how they wanted things to accomplish, things they wanted to accomplish, or how their life trajectory wanted to go. So when that happened and you decided to pursue writing and entertaining, like what was your first foothold into that industry? Did you know somebody, or did you just have to kind of learn it along the way?
I unfortunately didn't know anyone. I was honestly broke. Honestly, I'm not ashamed to say to this day right now, I'm still broke. Yep, I'm a broke artist, so there it is. I'm just putting it out there.
Listen,
yeah,
there's no shame in I don't know enough artists to speak on it, but I've heard that for all the people that you see on TV and on the internet, they're not making nearly as much as people think that they are. Right.
I heard about that. I mean, it might be true, but like I don't know. I can't speak for them, right? But here's the thing, like I'm like I was broke. I'm still broke, but it's like like I'm fine. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that the stars will align for me in some sort of type of way. But I didn't know anyone. I honestly never wrote anything before my whole entire life. So I had to, I really had to figure out how to write a book, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
What's the name of the book? I think I wrote the name of the book. It was different armor, different faces.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't like give out the name of the book because the book is like not out right now. Like I just finished writing. I just got off with my editor. Like I got lucky with the editor and all that stuff. But it's not published yet. But I just kind of meant to say, like, I went through a lot of stuff in my life, and I just really used a lot of different phases to kind of get myself through things. Because like right now I can say, at this moment, like I'm in Europe. Europe has a serious, I don't want to get into political stuff, but Europe has a serious problem, with how they treat people with migration. I know maybe some going to say, yeah, mass migration, it's not good. It is not good, but there's like two categories of like mass migration. The people who just want to live and integrate and they're good. Those kind of type of people are just kind of like getting punished for just being good. And the wrong type of people, they're like getting all the benefits in here. That's how it works. I know it's like, it's sad, but it's just how it works. So, yeah. So, I really went through a lot of trauma, and I went through like really survival, and I'm like coping like with mental health and a lot of issues. But yeah. So that's why I said like I don't think being cruel is a good thing. But when you're like in a survival mode for such a long time, unfortunately, you have to become cruel to survive. Like, I don't want to say it, but it's just the way it is.
Did you find yourself when you were, you're coming out of COVID and you're kind of like, kind of creating that second act in life, so to speak? Did you find that it was entertaining and being out there and putting yourself out there was a better place for you to sit back and say, okay, I'm going to have this persona. I'm going to write books. I'm going to be, my true authentic self, so to speak? Because I ask that because sometimes people get to certain places in life where they have an itch they need to scratch, or they have a yearning desire to be a better version of their own selves. And sometimes it takes a COVID, sometimes it takes a tragedy, sometimes it takes, a certain level of I don't want to say dissatisfaction, but they didn't reach their full potential, right? Is that something that almost dawned on you to say, you know what, I'm going to throw caution to the wind, and this is what I'm going to create?
Yeah, in a way, because I don't feel like I have anything to lose anymore. Like, like I don't like, like I said, like I'm kind of past my early days. So, the way I see it, I say like, okay, well, if I'm going to make it till like 70 or 80 years old, which maybe I'm not going to make it, like the most part of my life, it's like, it's gone, like the big chunk of your life, it's gone. So I don't really have like a lot of time and space. And yeah, with COVID, I've seen, like people literally like were dying, or people lost like everything. So I said, you know what, like this is my last shot. I don't have anything to lose. What's going to happen? Whatever. Doesn't happen. What?
Right. So let's talk about, writing. What are some of your inspirations for writing and some of your authorship? Where did you draw from? Because when I had a chance to look at your social media profile handles, I was like, okay, this seems like it's almost like some underworld type of stuff, right? Like, underworld, like I was a big fan of, those vampire flicks, and, like the Crow kind of a deal. Like I don't know what that abomination was they made last year, so I'm not counting that. I'm only counting, like, I didn't even watch it because the trailer completely turned me off. God bless Brandon Lee's soul. But like, I was really a big fan of like the first movie. And so, that alley of underworld / Blade / the Crow, I'm a big fan of that genre. So is that something that's up your alley or inspiration for how you've cultivated both your internet personality as well as your authorship or upcoming authorship?
In a way, I would say yes, but I always had this kind of dark personality, like all the like my socials that I make, like even just when I joke, it's always kind of sarcastic and dark, and it's just the way that I am, honestly. But I would say I was just taking inspiration, obviously, from my not so amazing life, but I'm okay with that. And of course, I had, things like Buffy. I was very into Buffy. I still have the major crush on Spike. I'm so a Spike fan. Like I just wanna, I still love that man till this day. Can you believe it? And he showed up on TV in '97, and here I am.
I'm about to say that. I was, I'm aging myself because I remember when the movie dropped, right? Like people would think of like a TV show. I remember the 1992 movie with Christy Swanson and oh my gosh, he passed away? Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it also had Paul Rubin in there as well too. So Pee Wee Herman was in that movie. So like for people who only think of the TV show, it was in 1990, and Luke Perry obviously, right? So it was an older. It was a 1991 or 92 film, and then it became this cult classic later on when it was developed into a TV series.
Yeah, yeah. So I draw my inspiration, like from Buffy. I'm a big like Supernatural fan. I don't know who doesn't love Supernatural, but I love Supernatural. And the writers are phenomenal because they sticked it out for 15 seasons.
For like 22 years. It was like 20. It was nuts.
Yeah, and
it shows up when I was in high school.
Yeah, and they did an excellent job. Like I was like, man, and I'm sure you saw the last episode, man. I was crying like for 2 days after they killed Abdi.
I'm not gonna say that. I haven't seen. So it was on like like I didn't know it was still on. So but I something that goes from 22 years is like a lifetime. So I'll confess I didn't watch it. But it was still very highly rated. I think it's like the longest running like fiction show ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was nuts. I was like, I remember I was seeing commercials for it, and I was like, "There's no way this is still on TV." I said, "There's like because it was, and it looked like the two actors never aged, like never like."
Yeah, they love.
I was like, "You kidding me right now?"
Yeah.
Because one of the lead actors is on the Amazon anti-hero show. Oh my gosh.
You mean The Boys? Jensen Ackles?
The Boys. Yeah,
Jensen Ackles.
Yeah. Yes, he's on The Boys, right? And I was like, oh, and he still looks the same age as when he started on Supernatural.
Look, he looks amazing. He looks handsome. Like I don't know what else to say. I don't know what they're doing, but they just don't age.
Well, they could pass that to the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, but obviously, so
yeah.
But this is fun because I get a chance to really like when I dive into this show. I always try to make sure that people from different walks of life get a chance to have an opportunity to be on here. But one of the things that I haven't had a lot of opportunities to talk about is just like entertainment, fiction, because there's something about like those things that you can visualize, but like you're almost scared to talk about, but it's really cool when you see it.
Yeah.
Right. It's really, really cool when you see it. But you're like, that's really cool. But even if I'm glad I don't live next to that kind of a thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you see something like an Underworld, or you see something like a Supernatural, it comes from X-Files. I just watched, and this is where I'm going to date myself a little bit. I had never watched the David Lynch series Twin Peaks before.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Before. And then I watched Twin Peaks, and then I watched the second season of it. Mm-hmm. And you're like, if anybody who's ever been a fan of David Lynch, either you love it, or God bless his soul, either you love the guy or you absolutely hated his work. But it was something that you couldn't take your eyes off of when you watched it.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I did watch Twin Peaks, but I kind of must confess I was a little bit bored. But maybe that's
I can understand why.
Maybe that's just my brain. I don't like slow burner stuff. I just don't like it. Like for me, I like plot, I like action. Things have to be complicated, a lot of secrets, a lot of twists. That's what I like.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely, it's one of those ones where if you're looking for like something instantaneous to happen, it wasn't that type of show. Do you go to like Comic-Cons, or do you do to any entertainment events? Because I saw the internet personality that, the things that you're trying to cultivate. Have you tried to like go to some conventions or things like that to really like build your brand of what you're trying to accomplish?
Sorry. No, actually, I never considered of going to a Comic-Con. Like I tried to get to Comic-Con one time, but only as a guest because Spike was there and I really wanted to go and see him.
Okay.
And unfortunately, what happened is, I could not get there because it was another city. So I could not get there. So I missed it. And I was completely devastated because I bought like the tickets and to see him, like a meet and greet, because I wanted to ask him questions. I obviously wanted to tell that that I'm madly in love with him for the past 30 years. And he would think that I'm a wacko, you know? But I said, but
No,
yeah.
you're a fan. You're a fan. It's all good.
Well, I'm sure he hears that stuff all the time. Like actually,
For sure.
a funny story, like my editor actually have met the guy, but it was like a long
Oh,
time.
wow.
It was like somewhere like in the beginning of 2000, like when Buffy was like still airing. And she said,
Yeah.
she said like, I was so starstruck that I couldn't speak and I felt like I was stalking the guy.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, these conventions that, I've been to some comic conventions, and they're great people, and it's really exciting to get a chance to see people in those niche films, right? So like you get a chance to see people in those movies that you saw as a kid that really resonated with you really highly, right? They don't have to be the Oscar winning or Academy Award winning film. It could be this nice little B movie that made a great impact on your childhood or your social youth, right? I saw one with Ernie Hudson had showed up,
Mhm.
right, from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That guy's been in everything, right?
Mhm.
And you're just like, that's Ernie Hudson, right? He's a big movie star, but he's in a lot of smaller films, and he's created kind of this niche where everybody knows who he is, but it's not like you're seeing Tom Cruise, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a great medium, and I think that there's a space that's been very well cultivated, and because you're a fan of Quentin Tarantino, he's really mastered the B movie fan with high quality motion picture experiences, right? And it's a really delicate line to balance, right?
Yeah.
Because you could tell he watched those obscure, quirky, unknown films, even from the actors that he's cast in his movies, right? Because he used to work at a video store.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And I really admire the guy that he's never like, ashamed or embarrassed to admit and say like, yeah, I was inspired by this movie and I kind of copied from this movie.
Oh,
He's totally
for
fine
sure,
with that, Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's really difficult because if you watch a movie, I can't speak for Europe, but if you're in America, sometimes you'll watch a movie and you'll have no idea that it was lifted from an obscure European or Japanese type of, because sometimes you won't even know it, right? So you'll just like literally like The Departed, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that's a remake of like an Asian movie called Infernal
Yeah.
Affairs, right? People don't know that, right? But you're like, oh yeah, The Departed is a great movie. Like, well, yeah. Or like when you watch like the Magnificent Seven and all those Clint Eastwood movies. Well, that was created by Akira Kurosawa with all of his movies that he made with Toshiro Mifune, Yojimbo, the Seven Samurai, the man with all those Sergio Leone motion pictures came from Japan, right? But if you're watching a Western, and a traditional American Western, if you didn't do your homework, you wouldn't know. And you would think that this is an original motion picture that you're watching.
True. Very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
it's amazing. And it's always fun to go down that wormhole of who is really the original, who actually put this out.
Okay,
Right.
so I do have this quick question because I'm not in the United States right now. So when people are like watching the movies in the United States, do they like really don't know that maybe this movie came from Europe or I don't know, like from somewhere else? This is like a remake?
I think now because of the internet, there's an opportunity for people to look it up quickly, but it's more like I can't speak on every educated film watcher, right? But because you and I are talking kind of in the same space. So we can sit back and say, well, no, that came from this, 45, 50 years ago, or even 20 years ago. So, but sometimes every once in a while, people will insist that this is an original motion picture. And then you'll have to do a double take and you're like, no, that's not the case. So I don't know, like, I don't want to speak on everybody's knowledge, but I think if you're a film buff or a TV buff, you may have a better answer about that. But I think the general casual watcher may not know that. Now, it's also a case of, I mean, at some point, ideas run out and somebody can lift from something and they don't even know, right? If you're a brand new director in your 20s and you're like, dude, I was born in 2001. I had no idea this thing got made in 1950. I'm just watching. I'm just trying to make something in front of me. It's like music, right? You can think you're making a brand new original song, not knowing it was made by an artist in the 60s and 50s. You're like, dude, I didn't know.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And I think this new generation, I don't really think that they really like know a lot of stuff, you know, like what happened, let's say like a generation before. I don't really think that they kind of maybe bothered to kind of educate themselves a little bit. That's just my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's cool is that it does get a chance to get those people that whose films they are using or their music they are sampling a chance to get royalties and things like that. But it's also YouTube is also your friend. So there's nothing better than being able to go on here and say, where is this possibly lifted from? And so, we use Quentin Tarantino as an example. He shamelessly took from other materials, but he made original content. It's a really difficult thing to do, to sit back and say, I'm going to shamelessly take from stuff that I watched and I'm going to make a completely original work in the process. Like, that is very difficult to pull off while not being a copycat. And so, whatever you're making or creating, you obviously are inspired by, but you still have to create your own voice.
Agree. Yeah.
It really is. It's almost like in basketball, God bless his soul, Kobe Bryant shamelessly stole from Michael Jordan. But he became completely original because he was so good. Right?
Yeah. Agree. Totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you are creating something and you're being inspired by something else, you really kind of have to pause and be your own judge and say, yeah, I can take inspiration, but this is not a copycat situation. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really difficult. And I applaud you for your approach to things because, some people never get to that stage in life where they're saying, you know what, I'm going to throw caution to the wind, because oftentimes people stay in, very safe spaces for themselves because they want to do no harm, or they don't want to rock the boat, so to speak, or they're concerned about what people think about them.
That's very true. That's very true. I can't give a statement about the American mentality, but I can say the people in Europe, they're not very open-minded. And what goes for creativity, there's not really a whole lot that's going on in here. So, yeah.
Yeah, and what this show is designed to do is to give people the opportunity to be their authentic selves. And so when you messaged me and I saw an opportunity to have you on, I said, man, this is something different, because oftentimes I get a chance to talk to, somebody who built a business, somebody who, wrote a book, or somebody, all different facets. But, yours stood out because I was like, oh, how do I approach this interview? Because this is one that I haven't really, dived in the alley for. But, when it's all about saying, hey, I'm going to be my authentic self, I'm going to learn how to write a book from scratch.
Yeah.
Penmanship be damned, so to speak. I'm going to figure it out along the way. So is the book going to be more autobiographical? Is it going to be a fiction book? Is it what's the?
It's a dark fiction. It's dark fiction, and there's a lot of blended, genres. But mostly, my editor told me call it just urban fiction. Yeah, call it just urban fiction. But there is, like I said, it's violent, it's bloody, it's very emotional, because for me, I took a lot of my personal experience. And, it's like when you have this really bad experience and it's like you have this box in your head and you say, do not open the box. Yeah, I did and opened the box all the time, and I just dig in, and it really put me in a bad mental space. But it's for me, I said, that's okay. I want to sacrifice it because it's really good writing, at least in my opinion, and at least in my editor's opinion, because I don't want to sound like I'm cocky or something. But I think that's how you approach art. That's how you really get something really good. And I think if I can give one example, I would say it's the writers on Buffy. It's when they had this horrible scene in Buffy when, Spike was trying to do something wrong with Buffy, and they said the writer was actually a female writer. So what they did. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
I've heard about things that took place on the set of that show that were less than, professional, but like I said, I wasn't knee deep in the Buffy.
Yeah. So, what happens is it's the creator, Josh Whedon, if I said his name correctly, Whedon, he said to the writers, I want you to come up and give me your worst day, your worst experience. Yeah, and that was one of the things. And it's happened to a female. When a female approached her boyfriend, she thought it's just gonna get together one more time, that they're going to be together again. So they flipped the sexes, and this is what happened. But
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's actually a very good way to write because like that, you're not being safe. You're pushing the boundaries and you are not scared to put your characters through really bad stuff. But I think that's the way to go. I think when people get like attached and they are scared, I think it's not going to make like a very good story. I think it's a safe story. It's just automatically not really for me. So,
Got it.
yeah.
And one of my favorite movies from Europe. It's a movie that dropped in like 2001 or 2002, and I watched it just recently. Brotherhood of the Wolf. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. So it was a movie. It was a French film, and so it was Mark Ducasse. So basically, there was this beast that was I think it was during like the French Revolution, and there was like this massive like wolf-like beast that was terrorizing this community, and it's mixing like martial arts with like the French Revolution era, maybe even pre-French Revolution. But it's really cool. So I think if you get a chance to get a fan of that, it was at one point I think it was like the highest grossing French film of the year, or it's one of the highest grossing ones. It was actually pretty successful in America too, but it mixed martial arts with that Victorian type era, and so if you get a chance, I think you would really be a fan of that type of film, because I think that you might find some inspiration in that type of genre as well, in that type of film as well too. It was subtitled. I love reading subtitles myself personally.
Really?
I'm a big fan. I do, because you know what? I'm a big fan of foreign films. I really am. One of my favorite films of all time was *Levine and Rose*. I thought that was an absolutely stellar motion picture. That was an incredible movie.
Yeah.
Right? Because what beauty about watching, I think when somebody doesn't, even when it's not a language, you can recognize facial expressions, you can recognize emotion. You hear somebody's voice quivering when they scream. When something else is taking place that's not a normal conversation, even if you don't speak the language that somebody's talking, right? Just as a human being, you can do. And there's something that's intricate by paying more attention because you don't know the language the person's speaking.
Very true. Very true. So I must ask you this. So you talked about that you watch like European movies, but did you see any other type of movies? Let's say, did you see like, like movies that were made like somewhere in Poland or somewhere in Russia or somewhere else?
Not as much. Like I've watched French films before. Not a couple Italian before. I've watched a lot of Asian films. One of my favorite movies of all time that I watched was a South American film called The Secret in Their Eyes. Right, I guess there was a really terrible U.S. remake, right?
Oh.
That came out a couple of years ago. But the original one was basically it was an Argentinian film. And so it was a crime that took place, and then 20 years later, the prosecutor was still trying. I'm dating myself on the film, but it was an unresolved issue. But it was also a love story that was taking place because the gentleman who was investigating it was still in love with the woman he was co-investigating with it, but I think now she's a judge, and they were trying to integrate who killed this man's wife from 25 years ago. But it had all these other things that were going on in front of it, and I remember watching the movie. I was like, man, this is instant classic. And I guess it was the highest grossing or second highest grossing Argentinian film of all time. So whenever I get a chance, I watch films like that because, it resonated really deeply with me, and it was one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Oh, okay. I think I missed that movie because I didn't see it.
It's incredible. It's an absolutely incredible motion picture. Oh. It's an incredible motion picture. There's a really cool scene at a soccer stadium, which was done really well. It's one of the more thrilling scenes that I've ever seen.
Oh, okay.
In a movie.
But I did see a Brazilian show that was very popular. It was in the beginning of 2000. I don't know if you heard about it. It was, oh my gosh, it was literally called something like, it was about cloning. It's about people, and it was about cloning. And they put like all this type of drama in there, and then they put like some religious views in there. It's all like really mixed. It's already mixed up, but I don't know if it got ever to America. But from where I was watching, it was like a huge deal. It was a very big deal. Yeah, it was a very big deal.
It was ahead of the curve. And then, one of the greatest films I've ever seen came from Brazil, which was City of God. Right? Like if you've never seen City of God, I remember I saw that movie 2001, 2002, and it was the gut punch of all gut punch movies. Right? It was in the slums of like Rio de Janeiro or something like that. And it basically it was an absolutely wonderful motion picture.
There was a guy who had like a camera, am I right? He was
Yes,
Yeah. You see, I did see that, but it was like so much, a long time ago that I forgot. I think it was a really good movie. It was shot so well. It was so realistic. It was so good. So good.
It was one I still like it felt like a documentary, like a real coming of age type of movie. So I asked, and it was, I could talk movies for days, and I'm sure you and I will have some off-camera conversations about movies.
Yeah.
So I ask all the guests this, not, because, you don't need me to get your name out there, but I always ask for the purpose of this show. Where can people find Eva A. Morningstar?
They can find me on Instagram, on TikTok, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube. And gosh, if you're going to ask me exactly what is like my handle, I don't exactly remember. I can just only say it's my name, and it probably has like an author or official or an 8 behind it. So yeah.
Well, that's what this show is all about, right? We're trying to cultivate audiences and stories in different walks of life, people who walk their own path. And just because it's not, a business that was built, or it wasn't somebody who's trying to build a rocket ship to the moon, doesn't mean it's not a compelling story to tell. And I appreciate you trying to be your authentic self, and you found that second chapter of what makes you happy. Ultimately, I feel very confident that the monetary reward will come with it. As we saw from the writer's strike and the actor's strike, it's not as lucrative for some people that you think that it is. Because I saw some of the pictures of people's residual checks that they were putting up, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, you wrote this hit show and you're getting a residual check for $2?
Yeah, I saw that. I was shocked, really.
Yeah. I mean, what do you even say? Like, you're sitting there, you're like, this show's getting viewed by 200 million people. Like, on paper, in your mind, you're like, there's no way you getting paid that for as many people are watching that.
Yeah.
You wrote this show. There's no way you're getting paid that for writing that show. And you're like, wow, you really are.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, absolutely crazy. I don't know how it happened, but I heard even the Supernatural creator that he said something similar, and he was like kind of struggling, and he wrote Supernatural. How is he struggling?
Right, like in your mind, you're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, the show is in syndication every single day, and you're like, there's no way you're not getting paid off this.
And, for me, it's very crazy because I'm not in America. So for me, I'm watching everything like basically American. And then I'm seeing the checks, and I really wonder how is that possible, because I don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't even. Somebody would have to sit back and explain that to me and make me understand that, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. Right? I mean, that's criminal.
It's criminal.
It is criminal.
It's criminal. Yeah, it is criminal.
So
yeah,
that's a rough one. That's a rough. Your face is on billboards. You're at conventions, and then when the show airs, on the back end, you're getting paid. What you got. I mean,
yeah, like a few dollars. That's insane.
You're like, somebody photoshopped this. Right? There's no way this is real.
I don't know, but I don't know. I think there's other concerns right now. I'm not an AI hater, but I know it's a concern for many people. And I do feel like the studios are going to be integrating the whole AI thing. Maybe not 100%, but to some, sort of point. And I think that's going to strike a lot of people once again.
Oh, I mean, but I'll just leave it with this: is that we all use ChatGPT and we've all used AI for our benefit, and it does clean things up. But can it really show, like writing a song? I've talked to songwriters on here. Can it really convey the emotion of somebody writing an authentic song? Like if they, they lost their husband, they lost their wife, they lost their girlfriend. There's a tragic event. Right. Tragic, sad event. Is it really going to really convey that type of emotion if you just said, just spit this song out for me? If it didn't come from you and it didn't come from really like what you really went through?
No, from the things that I saw online, like the Tesla robots and all of that stuff, I really noticed that they can't really mimic real emotion. They kind of can copy and pretend, but they don't really feel anything. So I think that it's a tool that can help you clean something out, but I don't think it's like, I'm sorry, I don't think it's human. I don't have anything against it because it's here. Recently, like the rapper 50 Cent said, like, you can't go against it because it's too smart, so it's here, so it's better to use it, but it's not human. It can't like mimic human emotion. It can't really feel for you.
One of my favorite, and I'll leave it with this, is because, like I said, I love conversations like this.
Yeah.
My favorite movie of all time, I'd say best movie of all time, my favorite movie of all time is a movie called Dark City. It came out in 1998. I don't know if you've seen it. It was the director of The Crow did it. And it was these aliens would take over, they transported humans to try to find out what made them human. Right. So the city would turn dark at night. The city stayed, they would put them to sleep.
Okay.
And then they would they would exchange the memories amongst the humans the entire time, so they could observe human emotion because their race was dying, and they needed to find out the human condition, right? And I'll never forget, if you've never seen it, the movie's been out for 27 years, so I'll just spoil it for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
But one of the biggest things about it was, one of the guys was saying, one of them woke up while all this was taking place. He said, "You were looking at what made us human." He was like, he was like, "You're trying to go in here. You were looking in the wrong place." And he pointed to his chest. Right? So it's all about your heart. It's not what happens in your head. Your head will get you only so many places. Your heart will take you to the moon and back. So Thank you, Eva Morningstar, for your time on the show.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you.
This was Eva A Morningstar. So I appreciate you for being on here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was happy to really, talk, since I'm such a, movie addict myself. So it was fun.
I like to talk movies all day.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.